Hey guys, it's your girl. I know that I've been off for a while, for about a month or two, and I promise you I'm okay. I just had a lot of things going on that I really needed to take care of. I also have to work and I'm a mom, so I try to do editing and videos while I'm working and being a mom. And honestly, that's been hard. My son has been with us for most of the quarantine, but he recently started going to daycare since my husband got called back to work. So now he's in daycare, and on days that I'm going to record videos, I'm just going to send him to daycare for like half a day and try to record videos. And hopefully, I can start doing this about twice a month. We'll see how it goes. This month, though, because it's spooky season, I am going to try to put up 3 videos. So my regular twice a month videos and a special Halloween video that is actually going to come out on Halloween. Stay tuned for that. Again, I'm good. I'm great. And hopefully I can start moving forward and start focusing on work, these videos, and my family. So for today, we are covering Colchester Castle. I actually started working on this before I went on my little hiatus. Honestly, it's either going to be really short or really long, so we shall see, because I have very little notes than I usually do, but there's also like a lot of information here that I can add on to as we go. So a little bit of history here. Colchester Castle was actually a Roman temple at first that was erected in 60 AD, around there. So they say. So for a while, it was ruled by the Roman Empire. Eventually, it was taken over by the British Empire. Obviously, there was a war. The temple was destroyed. In 1069, that's when Colchester Castle started getting worked on over the ruins of this Roman temple. And construction took almost 10 years. Obviously, in the middle of construction, it was, the Dark Ages, so they didn't really have the safety protocols that they have now, so there were some deaths while constructing the castle, and it is an enormous castle. So it took a while for that to be fully done. Wow, it's been a minute, so talking and doing makeup is really hard. Fast forward to 1215, King John overtook the castle, and now it's considered a royal castle. So, of course, they started using the dungeons to hold their prisoners of war and just, prisoners in general. So people were held there for crimes, never tried, obviously, and were eventually forgotten. Regardless of how much they scream to get out, that they're hungry, back in the Middle Ages, they didn't really, they had guards, but they didn't really have, a system to, see who actually was there. So a lot of people were forgotten. A lot of people died from, diseases found in dungeons. They don't really take care of them. They don't give them clean clothes. They don't really feed them. So that's already kind of messed up there. So fast forward to 1645, a self-proclaimed witch hunter under the name of Matthew Hopkins started taking people who were accused of doing witchcraft or just being witches in general. You know how it goes. He started imprisoning those women and pretty much torturing them until they either confessed to their crimes or killed them. Regardless, he would kill them. If they didn't confess, he would starve them. He would make them stand until they were so exhausted that they died. He would also deprive them of sleep, which, if you're me, I would be dead in the first day. At the end of the torture, these poor women would be burned at the stake or hanged, and they never really sought justice. Of course, that guy, Matthew Hopkins, really thought that these people were witches. So, there was no changing his mind at all. There were countless wars that were fought on the grounds of Colchester Castle, starting obviously with the overtaking of the Roman Empire. So not only that, you have Roman troops, dead there. You have English troops, British troops. Regardless, there were many wars and many casualties. So around the time when they ransacked the Roman temple, The city was also burned to the ground. So you also have those poor souls of the people caught in that crossfire. Innocent lives, obviously, were lost that day too, not just the people in the castle fighting to keep the castle. They also killed the villagers in that nearby city that the Colchester castle is on. That's where they ruled. It didn't matter. Women, children, men, pretty much the whole town perished. So, because it was originally a Roman temple, people have claimed to see a Roman soldier guarding the cells in the dungeon. So you'll hear footsteps in the dungeon, along with keys jingling, and obviously seeing that apparition. In 1930, a man took a bet for £200 to enter the castle and stay there for a full night. Not even 2 hours later, that poor man was found on the top of the castle screaming for help. When they got him out of the castle, they immediately took him to the hospital. It took a lot to take this man to the hospital, and even then he had to be sedated the whole time he was there at the hospital. After this happened, only a few months later, the man died. Now, there could have been other things that happened. He could have had some underlying condition, but regardless, that man had to be sedated, and he died 2 months later. I guess he never won his £200. So since that night, that poor man was never deemed sane. He never told anyone what caused him to be frantic. He would absolutely not utter a word about what happened to him. The great stairs of the castle was used primarily by the kings and important visitors. They do showcase it now to, regular people. It's not blocked off. Well, maybe now because of Corona. I don't think they're doing tours. It's a spiraling staircase to go up to the roof where the tower is. It has been said that people have heard a woman singing, and it has been caught on video by BuzzFeed. If you ever watch BuzzFeed Unsolved, Ryan Bergara and Shane Madej were actually there investigating the castle at night, and they actually got recording of a woman singing. And it wasn't just like a it was like tones, like pitches, like perfect pitches going in between, and it sounded like an actual song. For real though, y'all should look into that. That was crazy, and it still gives me the creeps now. I'm not easily scared at all, and that really messed me up. Other apparitions that people have seen in the tower are King's Guards and a lady walking up the staircase, so a lady in a white dress. They're seen pretty often around the castle, but they primarily stay in the tower area. In 1648, the castle was actually part of the Second English Civil War between the Royalist Cavaliers and the Parliamentarian Roundheads. I honestly don't know what look I'm going for, but I'm going for it. The Parliamentarian Roundheads eventually won the war, and as a result, they did execute the main leaders of the Royalist Cavaliers. Their names were Sir George Leslie and Sir Charles Lucas, and they were executed on the grounds. On the place where they were executed on now stands a monument. Before that monument was erected, it was said that the grass refused to grow in that area. No matter how hard anyone tried, the grass just wouldn't grow. Some say that the ground is cursed, but I don't know. So this man named James Parnell, he was a Quaker in town, was praying in the town church. Something happened, something led to another. There was an altercation between him and another man. And I guess that man was a sore loser and started accusing Parnell of being blasphemous. Parnell, of course, refused these accusations because it was absurd. And he felt like he was just being, discriminated against because he was a Quaker. And he doesn't practice religion like other people practice religion. Which I don't get it, because he still believed in God or whatever, just in a different way of praising him. But you know how religious folk be. They be freaking cray-cray sometimes. I know, because I was super religious at one point. And I guess I still am, but I don't go to church no more because there's so many judgmental people there. And also they don't like my attitude. I call a lot of things out, I use logic. A lot of them don't want to wear masks right now in the middle of a pandemic. They're saying, Jesus got me. I'm pretty sure a lot of Christians are dying today, Karen. Dying, and they're Christians. Dying from corona. Anyway, this man was a Quaker. And Parnell was told to pay a fee of 40 pounds. Of course, he said, nah, I don't want to pay that. I shouldn't have to pay that because I did nothing wrong. So because of his refusal, they automatically straight to the dungeon, straight to jail. Which, I mean, is just like, okay, it's just 40 pounds. They wouldn't have thrown you in the dungeon if you had paid it. Just, get over yourself or whatever. But, you know how men are with their pride, and it was an old-timey man, so fucking shit, I fucked up. See what men do to me? They fuck me up all the time. Sorry, Jesus. It's fine. It's cool. I'll fix it. Crisis averted, I think. Anyway, so because he didn't want to pay that charge of 40 pounds, he was thrown into the dungeon. The way that they would feed him, they would make him climb a long rope all the way to the top of the dungeon to feed him what little food that they offered him, pretty much. It's not quite clear how long he did this for. He was starting to notice that he was growing weaker and weaker every day because they were barely feeding him. So eventually Parnell got way too weak to keep climbing this rope to the top, and on the very last time that he did it, he actually fell and ended up dying. Some people have reported hearing moans of anguish, who they think it's Parnell. They have heard someone calling for help, and also someone groaning, like if they've been really, really hurt. That dungeon was the very same dungeon where they kept the supposed witches, and you can also see orbs in there. They didn't really keep track of anyone that was imprisoned there, but someone had used their spirit box and have actually contacted some of the spirits that were there, and a woman named Selena always pops up. And she was a supposed witch that was tortured and killed there. Parnell was buried on the grounds in an unmarked grave, so nobody knows where he was buried. James is one of the main ghosts that does try to communicate with people in the dungeon for obvious reasons. So in 1860 is when they officially turned the castle into a museum. And ever since then, they've had like exhibits of the history of the castle and everything. So it hasn't really been like set up for people to actually go in there and like stay the night. It's not a true castle anymore. It's just a monument, pretty much. Like the Alamo, except a lot bigger. I promise I have done better makeup before. I'm just a little rusty. Since then, workers that work at that museum have reported countless of encounters that have happened there, seeing people walking through the museum, like the part where they have the exhibits, people walking the grounds, hearing groans in the dungeon, hearing the singing lady. Other things that people have reported are hearing cats meowing around the castle. And one theory is because ancient Romans used to believe that burying cats within the walls of places brings good luck and wards off evil spirits. So that's what they did in the temple. So yes, ghost cats is what I'm trying to get at. Of course, none of those ghost cats are actually like, they don't harm you. They really don't do anything. They just see them walk around sometimes when they know that there's not a cat there. And they just hear the disembodied meowing all the time. One scary thing that they see around the castle is mainly around the old chapel that they used to have on the castle is the headless nun. No one knows her true story. They don't know how she became headless, if she was involved with any of the wars, if she was executed for some reason. They just know that she's a headless nun, and she usually hangs around the chapel area and inside the chapel. They're not sure if she is the one that they hear inside of the chapel loudly sobbing, but people have reported sobbing in the chapel, and there's no one there. They have tried communicating with the spirit that's in the chapel, And the only way that they can really communicate is using a spirit box. Some words come out, one or two, but it's never like anything, you know, a sentence or anything. But one way that they've actually been able to actually communicate with this entity is through tapping. So pretty much if you tap on a wall, like first you'll hear the tapping, you'll tap on a wall to respond, and then you'll ask the ghost or the entity, if this is you, tap on the wall 3 times, or tap on anything 3 times pretty much. And they do. This has been recorded by countless ghost investigators, the tapping at least, and it does lead some people to believe that there is something there. And that's the look. Alright, you guys, so again, I'm going to try to post videos every 2 weeks, but before I go, I really just want to say, for the love of God, if you just turned 18 this year, please register to vote. It's important. It's really important. America depends on it. Register to vote, voice your opinions, and vote on voting day. Doesn't matter who you vote for, honestly, it kind of does, but I'm not going to get into that. Also, before I go, I just want to state Black Lives Matter, have always mattered, will always matter. Other than that, I hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to start posting more. I'm going to start being more dedicated to these. So I really appreciate if you share, subscribe, like, give me ideas on what to cover next. If you have your own stories, definitely let me know down in the comments so I can contact you, or you can contact me if you have me on any social media. I'm literally on everything. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all I have. That's it. That's all I have to say. Make sure to spay and neuter your pets, and I'll see you next time.